Hey, yo, it's David Gregory.
And Nikki Llewellyn Gregory, and you're listening to Addicted to Betterment. It's a podcast for high achievers wired for sharpening themselves or those looking for a regular system to develop and level up their life. We've only got one shot at this life. Don't waste any opportunity to live alive and love your life. Let's do this together. Click on the follow button to make sure you get all of our episodes as they drop. Hey, it's Nikki, and you're back on Addicted to Betterment. And guess what? Today is my birthday. It's not actually my birthday the day that we're recording, but I know that this episode is coming out on my birthday, and I am going to be so jacked to be able to hear the feedback about some of, truly, honestly, my favorite things to share. And I'm back with my husband, David Gregory, and he has so many great things to share. So here's the topic today. We're talking about systems. And we're all at a time where we have some big goals, ready to crush them. And the key to goals is to have systems. David, why systems? Why are we picking this? Why of all things? Why is this the topic for our second episode on my birthday?
Oh, man, great question. Well, first of all, the audience is going to have to hear one big goal that you have set. So before we talk about systems, Nikki, you got to tell me what's one big goal that you have that you can share with all of our friends and listeners and all
right.
that. What is it?
And if one of these listeners helps make this happen, like game over, like you guys, like whoever this is, I don't even know. I don't even know what the prize is, but the prize will be amazing. Help me meet Pink, the chick that creates the most awesome music, that leads the most awesome team, that flies like an acrobat through the stadiums that she's in, that leads her kids like goodness gracious, that her husband's smoking hot. For real. This is my life goal, is to meet Pink.
Okay, can I re-ask the question? I don't know if I wanted to ask that. Okay, so now that our listeners have heard that, okay, let's talk about systems because I don't know how that's going to apply. But thank you for sharing. That's really cool. I love that goal, by the way.
Oh, I have systems. You just asked Stephanie Hicks, our show manager. I have systems for meeting Pink. You better believe it. We've been working on this for years. So I will break it down for you.
That's great. I love that so much. So one of my favorite authors, and I know he's one of your favorites too. By the way, for our listeners, one thing you can count on is we're going to quote authors all the time because we both are obsessed with consuming great content. James Clear, the book Atomic Habits. Nikki, I know it's one of your favorites. It's certainly one of mine. For those of you who haven't read it, put it on your list, read it today. It'll change your life. But one of the quotes that he has, and it echoes in my mind all the time, is we do not rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. Your goal is the destination outcome. Your systems is the collection of habits that get you there. And so I know your goal is to meet Pink, and we all have these goals that we're setting. And whether it's in business, whether it's to lose weight, whether it's to get more fit, whether maybe it's to complete that race that we always want to do, maybe it's to break the sales record of your company. You can set the goal as high as you want, but you're only going to achieve that goal if you have systems. One of my favorite speakers, Eric Thomas, I was at an event he was speaking at, and he said, every student that starts the school year in college, they all start out to get, a 4.0 or 3.5. Not one single student goes into the school year going, man, I am set on getting a 1.8 GPA this year. But what happens is they don't put the systems in place to achieve that goal. And next thing you know, you end up in the fourth quarter of the school year and you're like, oh shit, I got to do something to get my grades up. So it's systems that's going to help you achieve your goals.
And just to reference a tool that we'll talk about a lot on this show, the Life Wheel. So we'll link out in the show notes if you want to grab a copy of that. Your life wheel is the compilation of all the different hats you wear, all the different sections of your life. And every section needs a system. So important. David, before we start diving into our favorite systems that we want to share today, and I feel like this episode could literally be 12 hours long. So we're going to have to figure out how to, bring it in. We're going to summarize it. Our team of editors would not love a 12-hour episode. Here's the thing I want to ask is, what happens when we don't have systems? Give some examples of maybe people, no shout outs of names or whatever, but what do you see on the other side if you set goals and then you don't have systems? Bring that to life just a little bit more. I know you touched on it.
Have you ever ran a half marathon? I know you have.
I have.
I remember the first time I signed up for a half marathon. Actually, one of my friends signed me up. He didn't ask me. He just signed me up.
That sucks.
Yeah, it sucked a lot, actually. I still hate him. But he put me on that plan. So on Monday, I would run 3 miles on Tuesday, on week one. And then on week two, it ramps up a little bit on week three. Think about if I had tried to just implement my own running plan and just go randomly do different runs at different times, different paces, different distances, and then just go out and try to run the half marathon, it would have been torture. Well, it was torture. But by putting a system in place, that a plan in place that I executed, I was able to complete the half marathon. Now, I didn't break any speed records. I did break my ego, but other than that, I completed it because I had a system in place to get that done.
Absolutely. And shout out to Ashley Young on our team that's crushing the game with her races and all of her preparation and system. So if anybody's looking for a system for running, David and I are not the people, but you could reach out to Ashley and you can find her on our website or hit her up on LinkedIn or something.
I've tried doing it before when I didn't have system, when I didn't follow that plan. I've signed up for a race and I often didn't even run the race because I didn't follow the plan, didn't follow the system. And so I get to race day and I'm like, I'm not prepared. I'm not going to run it. So that's what happens if you don't have a system.
Mhm. Yep, and all of us, so in reflection for a second, every single one of us that is part of Addicted to Betterment, the community that we are building, so you, listeners, can come up with an example of something recent or, whenever in life, right? That's a loud example of like you set out to do something, but because you didn't have the systems to support it, you failed miserably. And by the way, we'll talk a lot about failure on here because failure is just the dots that connect us to success, really, as long as we use them that way. So we all know we've experienced having a goal, not having systems, and then the other side of that. So, David, we're going to dive in, not make this a 12-hour episode, and kind of go back and forth on some key systems that we want to share with other people. We'd love to know which of these really are going to help you level up this year.
Absolutely. So first you got to figure out what the goal is. I'm sure many of us have set goals this time of year. We're all doing that, right? We're setting goals and some of us do it periodically throughout the year. Sometimes they get achieved and sometimes they don't. But the three things I would say about setting goals, the system to use to set the goal would be get really clear on what the goal is. Be specific. So for me, if it's, hey, I want to lose weight, clearly, babe, I need to lose a little weight. So if I decide that I need to lose weight, I need to get specific on exactly what I'm trying to achieve so I can measure it. If it's a vague goal that you can't actually really measure if you're achieving that goal or not, it's like, hey, I want to be happier. Well, how are you going to measure that? So set a goal that you can get really clear on, because if you can get really clear on the goal, you're going to be able to put a plan in place to achieve it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And let me comment on 2 things right there. First of all, you're like a 2 gym visit day person. So you're like, I really need to lose weight. It's like, okay, the man goes to the gym twice a day and does all that he does and is a top performer and everything like that. It's like, I'm pretty sure I'm the problem when it comes to what's the issue here? I'm a really great cook. I mean, amazing. And so I cook way too much and force him to eat my food. So maybe the system needs to be that I need to lay off my cooking, which will never happen. I mean, I'm pretty epic. Denny Ward, I'm coming for you. So, listen, when it comes to setting goals, it's funny. I wasn't even going to share this, but like you, and I'm sure so many people have used this, the SMART, SMART as the acronym: specific,
Hmm.
measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. That is so wired in me that I always do that every time. Like, I don't even think about it. Systems become habits, right? And so that's the most powerful form, just like atomic habits, right? It starts with the systems and then you don't even know it's a system anymore. It's just a habit. You just do it. So, David, I know you thought of your like key systems for your life that are the like your core ones, right? And I have my core systems. We could talk all day about them, but we're going to summarize these and kind of play color with each other about them. So I'm going to let you start and share what are the core systems that help David reach his goals.
For me, number one's a morning routine. That simply is I start the day off to get my mind right, make sure what my plan is for the day so that I own the day and the day doesn't own me. Try to have a very clear plan for how I'm going to execute wins in every area of my life wheel. I literally every single morning look at every area of my life wheel and think, how am I going to win today? Just quick examples. If you're looking at some of the things that you're trying to achieve in work or your relationships or finances, you know, so what that looks like, it's this simple. How am I going to win in my relationship with my wife today? And I look at what are a couple things. that I'm going to try to do today that I think will draw us closer, that will make us connected, that will make her feel loved? And I look at that every single day. What are a couple things I'm going to do in my career? What's in my work and business? What are the two, three things that I know that are non-negotiable I'm going to do today that will set me apart, help me win that area? And I just go around the whole life wheel and look at that. So for me, my morning routine is a system. And I'll tell you, Nikki, when I don't have that morning routine in place, I'm a disaster. And then another thing for me is the systems that I have in place, they need to be repeatable and sustainable. So whether it's my cardio or my gym time or whatever that is, it's got to be simple and repeatable and sustainable. If you try to come up with these big elaborate systems that are take a lot of effort, a lot of work, and a lot of preparation, often you can do it for a short period of time, but then it's like I just can't keep doing this because it's just such a big change and it's so elaborate. And then another thing is not be rigid, not make your system so rigid that it's like, oh, I've got to go to bed at 9 o'clock every single night because I get the perfect amount of sleep. Because then what happens if you create these rigid systems in your life, once you fall off of that or once you get off that pattern, it's hard to stay in the groove because you don't give yourself grace. You beat yourself up because, oh man, I let go of my system 2 or 3 days in a row. So you got to be flexible. The systems in your life, they have to work, they have to be simple, but they have to be flexible, not rigid.
David, I think about you and I think about the gym, and you are committed to using that app that you use to guide you. That is a system for you. Whereas, like for me, when I go to the gym, I don't have an app that I use. When I'm at home, I do. I use the Peloton app. Thank you, Amy Woodall, for finally getting me on that. But, just like systems like an app, for example. The other thing about you that I think about is just this morning, I saw your wallet sitting on a table that I knew if it was sitting on that table, you would be somewhere and having to drive home because you leave your wallet in one of two places at all times. You wear almost the same thing to work every day. You have these very simplified systems for yourself. And just to give a shout out to my chef abilities. So if David were left alone for a week and he was trying to follow a plan for his health, he would eat the same thing every night. He would just buy it, exact same thing, eat the same thing to make it simple. David, am I right in all of this?
I'm not arguing any of that. I'd say it's pretty accurate.
I am different than that. Everybody has to find their rhythm. I think that's the thing. You have to find your rhythm for your systems. And some of David and I like morning routine, man, we both share that big time. We've just enhanced that with this breath work thing. And oh my gosh, it's just been so powerful. We should link out. We will. We'll link out to an example of a breath work technique that'll be like 10 minutes that you could try. And David, you said it so well. If I don't do my morning routine, basically my day sucks because it's your intention's not there, your energy's not there, all your focus and everything. So, yes, so much of what you said, I think one of the key takeaways though so far is as much as we are so alike, when you talk systems, it's so different than the way I think about systems. And the power of that is like everyone should have goals. I don't like to should people, but you should have goals. And everyone has a different variation of systems, like whatever it is that applies to you that's going to work for you.
Man, that's all really good. Share with us some of your systems and what those look like for you to help achieve your goals because I know you, like me, systems are critically important to you to achieve your goals. And it's crazy when I think about that. And I'm excited for you to share these systems because there's no lack of motivation, there's no lack of drive, there's no lack of achiever mentality. You're self motivated. And so, even someone like you who has all of those attributes, in order for you to effectively achieve your goals, you have to have these systems in place.
That's a really great point, and because I've worked really hard to get clear on, from a life wheel perspective, my ideal life, and in order to live my ideal life, I have to leverage every minute, like, literally every minute of the day, and I just am wired to be like, "Dude, if we have all of these different sections and I'm so excited about it, I don't really have any time to waste. I wanna figure out how to do that. Therefore, only systems can help me maximize and get it all in." And to some people, that's you're like, "You are wearing me out." Cool. Like, I'm talking about me. This is how I live my life. Everybody has different goals and everyone has different systems. Okay, so here's some of mine. I am very tactical. Um compared to many, I'm just gonna share that. I'm a very tactical systems person. Um, Shout out to my friend Nadine. We share a lot in common in that. Calendar. My calendar is probably my greatest system. I put everything in my calendar. I put grab the mail, take the trash out. I put all of my bills on reoccurring. So actually that's a system. All of my bills, all of my savings plan, I put on reoccurring so that I don't have to think about that. But because I was thinking I used to put that stuff on my calendar and then I just set it up as reoccurring. But for my calendar, I schedule everything and I have a routine. After my morning routine, I go and sit down at my computer and I look at my day and I see if anything needs to shift. I confirm things and add everything in. So if it's like, whoa, this day is so busy and we have a dinner meeting tonight, where am I going to get exercise? I might, not might, I do move calls from a Zoom to a phone call so I can be on the treadmill to get that done. And I put that on the calendar. And so my calendar, if anyone ever like, I feel like I want to have a calendar session because it fires me up so much to use my calendar to maximize my life. And I'd love to hear everybody else's ways that they do that. So maybe we'll do a little session together sometime. Okay, my next one, do it now. Do it now. So if it can be done in less than like 5 minutes, just do it now. So send the email now, do the follow up now, send the text now, book the thing on the calendar now, just do it now. If it doesn't take long, just do it right now. So when I'm really at a place like right now at this time of life, it's just very busy. I am on a call and or a meeting, right? Like I do most of my stuff virtual and I'm like, I want you to know I'm listening, but I am sending that connection right now. Just getting it done right now. Here's one that I'm terrible at, but I strive to be better. And just recently, I did a really good job of it. To be fully present is leaving my phone and my watch behind. Take my watch off, leave my phone behind. I am a huge fan of Apple products. Every technology piece I have is basically Apple. And so they're all integrated and they keep me very like I'm always connected, but to be able to be fully present with like my favorite person on the planet, David. We just had a date night and I like threw my watch and my phone in my bag. And that is a system for me to be able to be fully present because it's the one thing that really does distract me. And then I have to work on my listening skills, but that's for another episode. Okay, the next one is leading or teaching things when there's something that I wanna get good at, I volunteer myself to lead or teach it. So, I've done this since I was in high school, honestly. There's something like, okay, I wanna learn something particular on LinkedIn, let's say. Okay, I'm gonna put something on the calendar to go teach it to other people. I give myself a deadline, I work backwards to be able to learn it all and then teach it. And, like, I've had so many people be like, "What do you even know about that?" I was like, "I don't know anything yet, but I mean, we're gonna figure it out." And it just forces me, and I just love that. It's just been a really, really good system for me. The final one that I wanna share is the power of accountability buddies. I will 97% of the time show up for that gym class, show up for that walk on the Monon, show up for the follow-up of the detail work that I hate to do when I have someone else on the calendar with me to do it. Just works for me. I got lots more, but I'm gonna stop there. David, what are your thoughts?
I was thinking as you were talking, and the things that work for me. One is find someone who has achieved the goal that you're trying to achieve, and see what systems work for them. Ask questions, pay attention to details. Find someone who is above you or ahead of you in that section of life, and what systems they used. Kind of a hack that we both use. And then also make them small. Keep the systems in your life small so that they're not overwhelming, and it's the 1% better every single day.
I just thought of one that you're really good at that when you said start small or whatever, it's kind of the opposite, but it made me think of something that you do, eat the frog. Tell people about that because that is powerful to get movement in your day.
Yeah, that's part of setting my morning routine up for success, figuring out what I'm going to do to win the day. And I usually try to do the hardest thing first. Whatever it is. I hate emails. I hate trying to reply, go through emails and reply them. So often I do that very first thing because I know if I don't, it's probably not going to get done. I hate it. So whatever that frog is in my life for that day or that section of my life, if it's make the bed, Man, I hate making this stupid bed. Is anyone else out there with me on this? Why is that task so overwhelming sometimes? But sometimes I just do it because I know it's going to just set me up for success for the day. But yeah, whatever the biggest challenge is, or whatever the thing that I'm dreading the most, the conversation that I'm dreading the most, the one detail that I'm most dreading getting done, I try to do that first and it's out of the way. And I got momentum the rest of the day. It's like now I'm going downhill and I'm just cruising the rest of the day.
As we wrap up this episode, this has just been full of to-do action items. It's not like a conversation where it's like, what are the to-do things? I'm sure there's lots of things that you've heard or, maybe want to start or sharpen. The one thing I want to go back and correct is anyone who's listening to Addicted to Betterment, obviously you have goals. I don't need to tell you you should. You have goals. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this. My challenge and David's hope is that we're able to share because we are obsessed about this stuff and probably a lot of you are too. We're able to share the things that have worked for us after trying and this is the one, this is what works. And so we really hope that you take something or two things or three things and start something new or level up your practice, and we really hope to be friends on the journey with you. We really are looking forward to being able to bring people together to do life together and learn from you too.
So, Nikki, this is great. I know we're both committed to working very hard to bringing action items to put this to practical use. So, let's recap the A to B action items. Here we go. Get really clear on the goal. Secondly, make the goal something that is smart. It simply means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Thirdly, find someone who has already achieved the goal successfully. When you find someone who's already achieved the goal successfully, figure out their systems. Let's recap the systems. Make the systems repeatable, make the systems sustainable, make the systems flexible, make the systems small. Do those things, smash your goals. Let's do this.
And whatever you do, don't send David an email for the follow up. You'll never get a response back. So we'll link out to the best ways to follow up with David and myself. And we're just so excited about the journey. Let's crush 2023. Let's go.
So, you just listened to this episode. Now, join us in being addicted to betterment. Subscribe to the show, share with your friends, tag us, and please take a moment, leave a review. Yeah, we do want your stars, but we really want the feedback.